Alright, today we're going to go over section 2.1, which deals with solving inequalities. We're in our second unit, so we're looking at solving inequalities. This is similar to solving equations, except we have inequality symbol. And our 5 inequality symbols are less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, and not equal to. And so it's important that we know what those symbols mean when we see them. Okay, so if we look at example 1, we have 3 plus x is less than 9. We need to solve this as if this were an equal sign and then bring our inequality back in. Okay, so in order to get rid of a positive 3, we subtract 3. We bring down my x. 9 minus 3 is 6. And then I bring down my inequality symbol. I replace that equal sign with an inequality symbol. It's exactly the same as it was when we began with. So we get x is less than 6. Okay, if we look at 2p is greater than 8, we get rid of multiplication by dividing. So we're going to divide by 2, divide by 2, bring down my p, bring down my inequality symbol of greater than, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. So p is greater than 4. Okay, so now let's look at actually graphing some inequalities. So we're given the inequality b is less than 1.5, and we're going to graph that. Okay, so when graphing inequalities, we graph them on a number line. So I'm going to draw a number line from -4 all the way to 4. Okay, so now I have my number line, and I know that the value I'm looking for is 1.5. But I also need to pay attention to my inequality symbol. That is a strictly less than inequality symbol, and since it does not include the line underneath, we know that it's going to be an open circle at 1.5, so halfway in between 1 and 2. And then your inequality symbol tells you which direction your arrow goes. So we notice that our inequality symbol is pointing to the left, so we know that our arrow is going to the left. So not only will you have a point on a number line, but you will also have an arrow pointing which direction it will go. Okay, so if we look at r is greater than or equal to 2, we're going to draw a number line again from -4 to 4. Helps if I know my numbers. Okay, so from -4 to 4. And we see that we're starting at the point 2. And we also see that our inequality is greater than or equal to. Since it does include this line underneath, it's going to be a solid dot at 2. So I'm going to shade in my circle at 2. And then I also see that my inequality is pointing towards the right. So I draw my arrow towards the right. Okay, let's look at just a couple more. Well, one more. C is greater than 2.5. Okay, so I start with my number line. Okay, I'm just looking at starting at point 2.5, so halfway in between 2 and 3. And I also see that my inequality symbol does not include the line underneath, so it's going to be an open circle halfway in between 2 and 3. And my inequality symbol is pointing towards the right, so I'm going to draw my arrow towards the right. Alright, so the last thing you're going to look at today is writing inequalities from number lines. Okay, so we're given this number line and we need to figure out what this inequality means. Okay, so we'll start with our variable. I'm going to use x. You can use any letter you want to. And then I see that I'm at the point 4.5. That's right here. So I know that I'm going to be at 4.5. And then the last thing I look at is what direction my arrow is pointing. So my arrow is pointing to the right, so I know it's going to be a greater than symbol. And then if I look at my circle is an open dot, so I do not include the line underneath. So it's just x is greater than 4.5. If I do the same thing on number 3, I'm going to use my variable x. I look at my point and I'm at point 3. My inequality is pointing to the left, so I know it's going to be a less than inequality. And I also notice that my circle is a closed circle, so I include the line underneath. So x is less than or equal to 3. So you guys are going to be working through page 103, 1 through 17, writing inequalities and solving them and graphing them.